Ladies and gents, boys and girls, Douglas and I can't even. It's my own intro. Hello everyone, it's your boy. Today we're going to be fighting Yian Garuga. Now, Yian Garuga, I have to do it. Yian Garuga is an old dusty monster, much like your boy. Very old kind of person, incredibly old kind of person, like really old kind of person. It was a monster from the first generation. Okay. Yian Garuga is one of my favorite monsters of all time. Now, a lot of people could sit a bit like, Dak, how can you even like a monster like this? Well, Yian Garuga is incredibly different, okay? Different is a good way to say it. Well, without getting too crazy and actually talk about what the monster is about and not really rabble on too long about, me and being nostalgic, Yian Garuga is a bird wyvern who acts a lot like a flying wyvern. With the abilities of flying wyverns that you can, lovingly remember, i.e. the Raytheon. There's a lot of things that the Yian Garuga can do that the Raytheon can also do. Or vice versa, whoever came first, the bird or the egg or whatever. But nevertheless, it is in my opinion, I still believe the strongest bird wyvern in the Monster Hunter series. What they did with the Yian Garuga in World, it really exemplifies the fact that this monster is actually crazy. I lovingly refer to this monster as a psychotic, okay? I full on believe that Yian Garuga is a psychotic type of monster because a lot of the things that he does, the sporadic motions it has, is exemplary. I mean, you look at it, it's like, this monster is crazy. It's kind of why I like it. You almost never know what he's going to do next. Nevertheless, we get not necessarily ahead of ourselves, but let's actually get back on track. So, the Yian Garuga in this game, first and foremost, is weak to that of water. So if you're going to go in here and try and fight him, I recommend bringing some water weapons. By now, you should probably have a couple. If you've yet to actually fight the monster, as it stands right now, Namale, I think that's how you pronounce that monster's name. Mega Gyarados is what I like to call it. You can use its weapons. They're very good water weapons. You can use those. Or if you have Safijiva, like I'm currently using right now, like everyone else is probably currently using for a good point in time, you can use those and you'll be relatively okay. Other than that, I'd recommend you go in here with some really good fire resistance and maybe even some antidote, because he does have the ability to poison you with this tail flips, very much akin to Wraith, like I said before. Between the tail flips and the way it shoots its fireballs, some of them anyway, big wink, like if you guys could see my eyes right now, it's akin to that of Wraithian, but after a while it does come into itself. So that out the way, let's talk about a couple of his attacks. We did talk about the tail flip. The tail flip is very akin to that of the Raytheon. It has a fireball where it'll just shoot it straight out you. Very much again like the Raytheon or the Rathlos. It shoots 3 fireballs like the Raytheon. If you just watched there, he did. And then he has a couple of sporadic attacks where he'll just kind of run around and like throw his body at you. He has this different type of tail slam. I don't think it does poison. I'm pretty sure it still poisons you, where it's not like a tail whip, but he'll kind of flutter and then he'll flip. Like he'll do a front flip this time. It's more like a tail slam. It'll poison you. It's a pretty interesting attack, because at first I was getting hit with it quite a bit because it didn't look like anything else that he had. But again, it's something you should probably watch out for. Outside of that, he also has like his beak slams, where he'll just run around and then he'll come up to you, probably run you over, and then you slam his beak into the ground. He'll do this, I think, 2 or 3 times. It's a very interesting attack. Very annoying, because his beak is very hurty. Like, it hurts. That's not even a word. What is hurty? Nevertheless, moving forward. One other attack I actually want to talk about is, it's not even an attack. It's more like a coupling of attacks. He will emit this loud screeching noise and then fly backwards when he does it, leaving you in an earplugged related type of state. If you have earplugs, you'll be okay, but if you don't, you kind of have to hold that. And then he likes to combo that with like certain things, usually like a tail flip or a fireball of some sort. It catches unwary hunters because it's kind of odd, but it's something you should really watch out for. It's very akin to Rathalos's roar then jump back fireball. It's kind of like that, but this time he'll do that into like tail flip or something like that. So it's something necessarily to watch out for sure. Also, he got rid of his old 1-frame charge. He used to actually charge at 1 frame, meaning at the first frame in which he would charge, it was full on active. It was ridiculous, but not so much anymore. But other than that, Yian Garuga has a good array of attacks. He's still a very sporadic monster. He does kind of remind me of a flying wyvern, but remember, guys, he's actually a bird wyvern. So akin to monsters like Puke and Paul. Wow, I think those are the only ones we have in this game. Bird wyverns that can fly, I should say. Kuluyaku is technically a bird wyvern, but nevertheless, there might be another one. I'm probably forgetting them right now off the top of my head, but along the lines of those guys, he actually is technically in that category, but he has the power and a lot of moves out of a flying wyvern. So moving over, let's actually talk about the gear. I actually want to do that because I want to explain to you guys exactly how you actually come across him, because he's technically not a monster you would fight standardly. You first fight him in the Guiding Land, so in order to fully create his gear, you actually need some Guiding Land materials. So the Yian Garuga armor invokes old times, which is good. The design is essentially how it was back in the day, and it's cool. It has that layered samurai kind of armor look, which is really cool. I like that. I've always kind of liked that design. It's really evocative to like how it was back in the day, slightly modified for today, but it is essentially how it was back in the day. Now the beta, one thing I should know, at least I think it's both for the males and the females, the headpiece is actually from the Deviant set in Monster Hunter Generations, because, well, there wasn't two variants of sets back in the day. They kind of look exactly the same, but for the Deviant, you got this tiny little headdress thing with the feathers coming down the back. There's something I actually just wanted to talk about in this video because I thought it was super cool they had it in the Deviant. That was actually dope. Nevertheless, the skills are thus. You get Crit Eye 6, Earplugs 5, Resentment 3, Poison Tech 2, and Piercing Shots 1. This is the alpha set. Now, for the beta set, it's essentially the same thing. You lose 1 point to Crit Eye, 2 points in the Earplugs, you lose Poison Attack, and you lose Piercing Shot. Depending on who you are, that's nothing at all. Honestly, the fact that it's just 1 Crit Eye and 2 Earplugs, those are things you can gem in for free, given the fact that you've now given those up to get a whole lot of slots. You know what I mean? That's usually what the beta goes with. You know how it goes. So that's fine. Poison Attack only really works if you're using poison weapons, so if you're not using a poison weapon, then you're good. Piercing Shot only works if you're, I guess, gunning. If you're not gunning, that skill is useless to you. So, I mean, it works out. I kind of feel like this set right here could be very, very good. If you don't even want to use the set at all, what you do want to run are these legs, okay? Beta legs has a level 4 and 2 level 2s with 2 to Crit Eye. Some of the best legs in the game when it comes to crit, or the best pieces of gear in the game when it comes to crit. For Crit Eye, that is, because it's actually phenomenal. I mean, look at this. You have a good amount of slots, okay? The only thing that would make this better if it was like 2 level 3s. But regardless, you have a fantastic amount of slots. You're looking at Crit Eye 2 for free. I mean, it's nice. I run it on a lot of my other sets on the PlayStation 4, that is. So the armor is good. The weapons are actually pretty decent as well. The weapons are poison, as you'd imagine. Again, decent. They're not what they used to be. I remember Yian Garuga weapons used to have incredible amounts of poison. Like, I mean, insane amounts of poison. Puke is relegated to that. So when it comes down to the poison weapon variety in here, the Yian Garuga weapons have a little less element. I guess you could call it ailment, if you will, compared to the Puke, but has more attack. So the attack is more in line with what you would perceive to be end game standard attack, like 600s, or, well, for me anyway, like 600s. Things like 598 for me, for lances and stuff like that. So it has higher attack. It's not the highest attack, but it's pretty decent attack compared to your standard variety of poison weapons, or even your other paralysis weapons as well, except for acidic lavinus, because stuff is broken. But yeah, so the gear is good. I'd recommend pieces of the armor, if not the entire armor set. Again, like I said, pieces. I would recommend certain pieces, maybe for earplugs or the Crit Eye. The whole set, it really depends, up to you. I will probably run it because I'm silly. But one thing I should note, though, at the very bottom, as you see there, where it says Scratch Shell, that is a Scarred Yian Garuga part. So in order to even make the full set armor, you need to first fight Scarred Yian Garuga, who's going to be in the next video. And with that said, let's move back to the usual juice. So in a nutshell, Yian Garuga is crazy, nutty, zany. He's all these buzzwords when it comes to a monster that's a bit of out of his gourd. Is why I like him. I mean, there's just something about him. It's like he brings his challenge. I haven't said it yet, which surprisingly I haven't said it, but I'm gonna say it because this is why I wrap everything up. Usually, the third segment of the video. He is the original bad guy, the original invader monster, the original monster that showed up. I don't know about invader, but he was the original monster who showed up and you were like, what the hell is this thing, and why is it so difficult? And at the time in Monster Hunter 1, a monster like him was very difficult to do because not only he moves so quickly, it was quick movements, sporadic attacks, and you flat out almost couldn't predict what he was gonna do next. He was just crazy, and he's this mind-boggling like monstrosity, if pardon the pun, you know, monstrosity, so on and so forth. But he was just that guy. He was a monster that was just so crazy, so hard. I remember fighting him, and there was this rappel quest. Actually, it was a rappel quest, and I was getting whooped. I mean, it wasn't even funny. I was getting destroyed back in the day. But then again, I was younger and I was dumber. I didn't really know what to do. But I will always have fond memories of Yian Garuga really being that massive wall that impeded all my movement throughout the game. He was actually the reason why I never beat the game, because I couldn't really get past him. But things have changed. He's since then become a lot more easier to deal with. Doing parts, they probably nerfed him a bit, and they've boosted the hunter's ability to do what they can do so drastically. So I mean, he doesn't have the same like stalwart, stoic. I'm thinking of other words, but I'm screwing it up. But anyway, he's not as dumb as he used to be. He's probably still as dumb as he used to be, but it's a lot easier to deal with his stupidity, if you will. So I mean, he's a crazy guy. I like him because of how zany he is, the nostalgia he brings to me, the fact that he was my first wall, which is weird. You usually hate something that actually like did so much damage to you growing up, but it is what it is. Yian Garuga's a very powerful monster. He's something that you can't sit back and say, oh, well, he's free. Well, maybe once you're geared up times like a billion and you have all these great tactics, but he was always a monster you respected at first. If not, you took a fat L. But at the end of the day, Yian Garuga, he's still just a bird wyvern. He can still be tamed just like any other monster. If you're a veteran or skilled enough or long in tooth, you'd kind of have an understanding as to like what to expect when you fight him. So it really shouldn't be a massive deal. But for newcomers, probably never fought the guy before, he might be a bit of a departure from the norm, which is his absolute role. He was supposed to be a monster that you look at and like, oh, he's kind of like these other guys. I'm familiar with them. This should be easy. And then out of nowhere, he disrupts all of that thinking by doing stuff that monsters that are like him should never do. That was probably the most powerful, tiny little sentence, 2 sentences there. You could take those 2 sentences, and just put it at the front of this video, and then just end the video. That's good stuff. I'm not gonna. That's dumb. But the video is done. Nevertheless, everyone, thank you so much for coming and watching. Tomorrow, we will have the Scarred Yian Garuga. That video, I'm gonna let you know right now. That video is already recorded and ready to go. Usually, like I said, I wake up at 6 in the morning to do these. I'm gonna wake up at 6 in the morning and drink some coffee, and then like play video games and do a bunch of other silly things, and then around like 9 o'clock I'll upload the video. So yeah, anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy. The video is essentially done. I'll let you guys see him die.